almost went over 5 minutes.
Madam Clerk, would you proceed with the roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we will begin with Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Knight.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
McMahon. Miller.
Present.
Lockby.
Here.
Nesbitt.
Here.
Neitlinger.
Present.
Stahl.
Here.
Stark.
Present.
Stone.
Here.
Walls.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Alexander.
Present.
Barney.
Present.
Boyd. Criswell.
Present.
Davis.
Here.
Dodge.
Present.
Greer.
Yes.
Foster. Fox.
Present.
Green.
Here.
Jenkins. Chairman Weiner. Present, 3 absent, and 1 vacancy, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Moving on in our agenda tonight, it will be item 5, it will be the adoption or the amendment of the agenda. I would like to offer a couple of changes of places on the agenda items. I would like to take number 8 and make it number 10, number 9, make it number 8, and number 10, and make it number 9. And also under 13E, to delete that from this evening's meeting. So I would ask for a motion to accept the amended agenda, or if there are other amendments to the agenda, please let that be known. Mr. Stark has moved to accept the amended agenda. Is there a second? Mr. Stone, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We have an agenda, an amended agenda. We need item number 6 then, is the approval of minutes. That has been included in your packet. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes as written. Thank you. Ms. Foster has moved that we accept them. Mr. Alexander has moved a second to accept the minutes. Any questions or corrections? If not, please signify by saying aye for your approval. Aye. No if there's disapproval. Motion carries. We have the minutes approved. Item 7 is the report on claims. I think you have that in front of you. The chair would accept a motion to approve the report on claims as presented. Mr. Alexander has moved. Mr. Fox has seconded to report the claim, accept the report on claims. Is there any question, discussion, comment? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Lockby.
Yes.
Nesbitt.
Yes.
Neitlinger.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Walls.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
Barney.
Yes.
Criswell.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Dodge.
Yes.
Greer.
Yes.
Foster. Fox.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Weiner.
Yes.
23 yes, 3 absent, and 1 vacancy, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries. We're now going into our amended part of the agenda, and at this time, I'd like to have Tracy McCray come forward if she would. Tracy said she was a little nervous coming up tonight, but the county board, on behalf of the county and certainly the county board, would like to present to Tracy a plaque that can be displayed in Vermilion Manor, the old Vermilion Manor, now Garden View Manor. I'd just like to read the plaque of recognition to you and present it to her for hanging in the nursing home. It's just to the staff and employees of Vermilion Manor Nursing Home and all those who are now associated with Garden View Manor. The County of Vermilion recognizes with admiration and respect your dedication to serve the residents of the nursing home, past, present, and future, and your years of dedicated service to Vermilion County. Thank you for your time and love to those in need. It's presented September 10th of 2013, and that's what the plaque looks like. She's not done yet, quite. We were able to move the order of the meeting around just a little bit because Tracy has another meeting tonight at 6:30, and so we're going to get her on the road for that. But Tracy, as you know, filled some very big shoes, and there were some hours, I think, that were probably questioning in her mind about did I make the right decision or not. But Chairman McMahon at the time, when some changes needed to be made, tapped Tracy to lead the team effort out there for Vermilion Manor, and she accepted that. And so we also want to present Tracy with a token of recognition tonight for the many hours and the sleepless nights that she gave us as our administrator. And it just says, in grateful appreciation for your years of dedicated service to the residents of Vermilion Manor Nursing Home and all the people of Vermilion County, we wish you continued success and satisfaction in your service to those in need of long-term care and respect during illness. Thank you for your time and your devotion to Vermilion County. I'm not sure I can read this, but it contains also the nurse's prayer. My wife is a nurse, and I can tell you it's a pretty emotional prayer, but in essence it says, you know, that you're doing the work of God by caring for the people most in need and the most vulnerable. So, Tracy, we'd like to present this to you for your office, and thank you.
Thank you. Most of you know how much I love getting up in front of a crowd and talking, but I just want to say thank you very much, and thank you all for the opportunity and for the support that you've given me over the last year and a half, and for the support that you've given to the nursing home. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Tracy, on behalf of the county and the county board. Next on our agenda is number 9. We're going to ask Phil Krusik to come forward. And most of you know there was a Vermilion County Nursing Home Foundation. Phil has been involved in that activity for several years. At the time that the nursing home was sold to a private business, Phil headed the foundation, and there were some funds that were left in that account. I've asked Phil to come tonight to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen to the foundation, maybe, and what the funds that are there are going to be used for. Phil, so just tell us up to date.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity to come here and just give you an update on our foundation and what we've accomplished. I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to sort of review our short 10-year life or so, what we did. I noticed one of our original foundation board members is sitting here in the room tonight. I don't know if you knew on the agenda or not. But, you know, you have to, first of all, you have to thank your board. I had a very cooperative board these last few years. They were made up of Molly Bogart, Sylvia Lee, Elaine Miller, Matt Droppy, Tom Fahey, and Christina Dietzen and myself. We had 2 vacancies that occurred just prior to the time that the county started entering negotiations and thinking about selling, and the decision of the board at that time not to fill those 2 vacancies until we found out where we had them. Some of our projects have been minor, some have been major. We converted with the cooperation of the Ladies Auxiliary at the nursing home and the Strawberry Patch ladies. They sort of helped with some of the work. We converted 2 rooms from regular residence rooms to hospice rooms. There was no way for hospice care out there at that time. That was done some 6 or 7 years ago. We purchased some just incidental things that helped the staff. One of the things was a resident would damage their eyeglasses. Maybe it was just a screw out of the template or something of that nature. They'd have to load them in the van, take them to Chittick's. Chittick's would repair them, bring them back. We got with Chittick's and got a nice supply cabinet and so forth, and they gave us a real good deal on it, and we were able to let those residents then just the little minor things be taken care of right there. Some of our bigger projects, the biggest one we had was the sunroom. And I don't remember what the square footage on that is. I think it's around 1,400 square feet. It was a $70,000 job, $70,000 sunroom time. And you just have to thank those people that give you a gift in kind, because part of that sunroom, after we completed it, is we wanted to build the gardens, which is sort of ironic. The new owners are now using those gardens as their marquee. I have to thank the Building Trades Council. Those guys, especially the carpenters and laborers. Our first estimate to pour the concrete was like $24,000. We didn't have it. So we got to go raise it. And it's time to raise some money. The labor boys found out about it, and they said, we'll do it for you. To make a long story short, we got all that concrete poured for a little over $3,000. When we finally went to the concrete supplier to pay for the concrete, he said, you're a nonprofit, blah, blah, when you do this and this one, you have to cut the bill in half. So it's really nice when you work with people like that. The same way when we went to build in the gardens, we went to build the little shelter out there that we built. I went around and got some estimates. They ranged from $8,000 to $10,000. I'm sitting at home one night and I get a phone call from the president of the Carpenters Local, and he said, when do you want us to start your shelter? And we got the building built for, I don't know, $3,800, which was just materials. In there, we just had to really thank these people, because without their help, without these gifts in kind, which have tens of thousands of dollars attached to them when you go to fill out a financial report for a grant or something, some of the accomplishments we made out there would have never came to fruition. We even had an former county board chairman out there swinging the hammer, building the pavilion. And they built that summer, the hottest week of the summer. We've got at this time approximately $8,500. As of August 1st, we had about $8,500 in our treasuries. We did at our last board meeting vote to disband due to the fact that we're a 501c, we're going to have to reorganize anyway. It no longer was Vermilion Manor, so we couldn't use that name. And there were a couple of board members that were pretty adamant about selling, as you can well expect. But for most, they all were in agreement. What we decided we wanted to do with the money is we're going to deal with specific needs of specific residents. I'm working, I wish Stacy was able to stay because she's helping us. We're working through her to address some of these needs. We've had our first two. One was a resident who needed an electric wheelchair repaired. The batteries were gone. We later found out the joystick was broke. I don't know if it might have been cheaper to buy a new one, but it ended up $750 repair, and we paid that for that resident. That's what we want to do. We have a resident out there that was confined to bed. Could not sit up without the aid of a special cushion and a harnessing device. No ability to pay. Medicaid, Medicare on both these cases refused the application for payment. So the gentleman now has his cushion, he's able to set up in his chair. He doesn't have to stay in bed all day long.
Amen.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do with the money. Tracy, I spoke with her just briefly before the meeting this evening. She's got 2 more cases she's working with nursing staff on to get it all worked out, and we'll honor those. We'll continue to honor those until we're out of funds. an offer to the new owners to reorganize the foundation. There are three of the board members that are interested in doing that if our activities were warranted and wanted. Our activities would have to be confined to these specific resident needs. We could no longer build such things as a sunroom or a garden. I mean, we had the $8,500 because our next project is going to build a smoker's hut. We're trying to get money together to build this smoker's hut. You know, you've had residents out there that they smoked all their lives, whether you approve of smoking or not. They smoked all their lives, and at the waning years of their life, you're not going to tell them they can't smoke. Well, they can smoke in the nursing home in designated areas, but their guests can't. If someone comes to visit them or something. So we just had decided that it might be a worthwhile project to go to one of the areas there where it's sort of hidden and not out in real view, and build an all-weather smoker's hut. But that never came through. That's what we have. We're currently working on these 2 more cases, trying to do what money that was given to us was given to us for. All of our money for all of these projects were raised through gifts and grant applications. We only had, in the 7 or 8 years I've been on the board, we only had 1 fundraising activity. So that the families of the residents out there were most gracious to us during their stays. We made applications to the Webster Foundation here in Danville. They were very gracious to us every year. We made an application, and we showed them a specific need and what we're going to use the money for. Again, I'd like to say thanks to all those who helped us. I didn't mention any particular names because I'm afraid we're going to forget somebody. But you know, people that come out there and work when it's 98 degrees, driving nails or moving compost to build the gardens and so forth, they don't do it to see their name in print or anything like that. They do it out here, you know, if they want to come out and want to help. And the only thing I think they really expected is a sincere thanks. And believe you me, they've gotten from me. At the conclusion of every project, I sit down and write a note to everybody that helped us and thank them for it. Again, thanks for the board's support. One thing I didn't mention here is the cooperation that we had when we were working out there with the staff at the nursing home. The maintenance guys were just wonderful. They saw us doing something that they knew an easier way to do. They would come and tell us or help us do it. You know, like moving compost or something. The dietary on those real hot summer days when we were building the gardens. Dietary always had a little cart sitting out there with tea and water on it for us, and we really appreciate those things. Like I say, again, thanks. If anybody's got any questions, I'll try to answer if I can.
Phil, thanks so much for the great work that you and the board and the volunteers did out there. It wasn't appreciated perhaps as much by the board, but it certainly was noticed, and thank you for all of the good work. Please convey that, if you would, to those board members.
I'm talking to most of them on a regular basis, yes, I will. Barring no one, everybody, even those that were not happy with the sale, they enjoyed working on the projects. We did it for the residents. You can't turn your back on.
I think it's marvelous what you're doing with the remaining time. I think it's absolutely
I hope
outstanding.
everybody's satisfied with that. We just didn't know what else to do, and we thought that would be a good purpose, because in our mission statement, our application to the Secretary of State for our tax-free status, it says to enhance the lives of the residents of Vermilion Manor. So, although it's no longer Vermilion Manor, those people were residents when it was Vermilion Manor, and we're going to do it until somebody else can.
Phil, I'm not an attorney, but I was wondering, before you disband or give that charter up, that you might want to hang on to it in case it can be amended instead of completely reapplied for.
We have the council checking on that right now. Which way would be the best? Because we don't want to send our papers in to disband until our money is exhausted. But we wanted to go ahead and pass the resolution so that we wouldn't have to have another meeting.
A whole lot easier retaining a 501c3 than actually obtaining one, so see what happens with
If we
that.
could just do a name, where each action will feel we can do just a name change and mission statement change.
Mr. Drew, do you have a comment?
I want to thank you and your members for your service, but also to just echo what I think Mr. Alexander was alluding to, or actually stating there. If we can maintain a not-for-profit group that can meet gap needs for residents in the nursing home where Medicare, Medicaid, whatever the sources don't provide for their needs, I would be very supportive of that.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
And encourage you to maybe see if your group would like to, as you stated here in your later days, you moved into that mode. I loved what you were saying there, because those kind of special needs that are not met through normal channels, I would like to see us have an avenue.
Well, that would be my goal in reorganizing the foundation,
And I would be proud to be a contributor.
to address those gap needs. There's just some folks, pardon the expression, they're just the last of the Mohegans. They're there, they have no family, they have no funds, they're there on Medicaid, and I encountered a situation out there the other day where a gentleman was there and had one pair of socks, and that was it. No family. He's got socks now.
Phil Kruzik, I think that you and your committee deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on, item 10 with the audience comments that are related to agenda items. Do we have some audience comments tonight that would be appropriate at this time for items that are on the agenda? Please tell us your name and so forth information.
My name is Ted Harkey. I live in rural Fithian. I want to address the county board tonight to talk about item 13F in your packet. This is having to do with our Fiddler our Fiddler Technologies change in budget item here. We have 13F1 page says that this is an emergency adjustment to the budget. And I feel as though that's a way to ram things through very quickly without pausing for a moment to really think about if this item really needs to be pushed through this fast. In the past, before the last month's meeting, I sent an email to all of you, and it said, and it outlined details about my questions about the GIS contract. I was looking for a copy of the contract, what the old amount was, what the new amount was. I wanted to see what was in there, what we were going to get, and no one answered my questions. I came to the meeting a month ago. I sat next to Colin Russell. Colin Russell was a gentleman that works at Bruce Harrison Associates. I sat next to him because I recognized him, I know him, and I asked him, hey, what's your new contract amount? He said, I'm not telling you, it's in the packet. I said, well, I don't have a packet. Can you tell me what your new contract amount is? And he continued, and he said that he wasn't going to answer my question. So I said, what was the old one then, the old amount? I don't know, or I'm not going to answer that. So I waited, and it came out to audience comments period. And I came up here and I asked all of you guys, hey, what's the amount of the GIS contract? It's $637,500. Nobody answered it. I'm not sure if anybody looked at their packet and looked at that closely. So I I sat down with no answers to my questions, and the gentleman came up here and answered just one or two questions from the group here, and then you voted. And without reading any of the resolution, it passed. And when Colin walked past down this aisle and walked past me on his way out, he smiled and shrugged and walked out. And when he did that, I knew, well, in my judgment, by judging human beings and having a good feel for people, I knew that we may have been had. Okay? I was asking those questions very nicely and politely before the meeting. Nobody addressed it, and nobody looked at it. So then when he smugly smiled and smirked and walked out and shrugged, I did some digging. And what I found, I became very angered. We should have bid out the GIS project. We should have bid that out. I have asked Mr. Donahue in some emails, I've asked him, hey, can you show me where that was an exception that it didn't have to be bid out? He wrote back something about it being a professional design firm or professional services. I looked at Bruce Harris and Associates. Bruce Harris does not have a license to do engineering, surveying, architecture, structural engineering. He doesn't have a license. He doesn't have a professional design firm. He's not eligible under that reason for a no bid contract. And I kept emailing Mr. Donahue, and the answers came back with more citations of pieces of Illinois statute, and I still couldn't see where that fit in, how we got to where we are with this over $600,000 contract for GIS services, which are not professional services. And he sent me another one today, and his answer changes. And I've been on a construction site where a survey crew or a construction member came up, and I asked them a question, and they answered it, and it wasn't very satisfactory, and I thought maybe there's some confusion, so I asked them again. And by the time you ask 3 times and you get 3 different answers, and I get 3 different answers to my question, that's when I figure out that someone doesn't know and they may be faking. And I've been in that situation before.
You need to bring your comments to a close, Mr. Harkey.
Thank you. I think that's all I have to say about this, and I hope that you dig into the Fiddler contract. I want you to re-review your GIS contract, see if you guys can get out of it. I don't think there's any business in Illinois who would want to do business with the county and then be contacted by a competitor to ask them, hey, did you win that fair and square? If I was Bruce Harrison Associates, I do not want to be associated with Vermilion County and be accused of getting some kind of a sweetheart deal, no bid contract, and have a leg up and an unfair advantage over my competitor.
Thank you, Mr. Harkey. Are there other audience comments? Other audience comments? Okay, moving on then to item 11. We have asked a risk manager from Elizabeth Knight, who is our casualty and liability insurance carrier, to come and give the board a little bit of an update on the position and the situation in the county, and with insurance constantly changing, to tell us a little bit about where we stand in terms of risk management.
Thank you, Chairman.
This is Timothy Drury.
Tim Drury.
That's very good, thank you.
Mother helped me here. With Bliss McKnight, we bring you GIU, which is the insurance program for the county. That's how my job in risk management is to work with resources to help the county not get sued. And we were asked to look into land use issues and zoning issues, statutory authority for the county, and went to outside legal counsel to assist the county. And I believe the answer, the experts found that because Vermilion County is a non-home rule entity, it's severely limited in its legislative authority. The optimal place that the county can only legislate in areas where it has been granted permission by the state. The optimal place to find authority for regulating land use issues would be in a zoning ordinance. Because the county has chosen not to enact zoning, the county has to look to other statutes for the authority to regulate land use, and I believe that they've done so with an ordinance that you've passed. Our recommendations in terms of risk management to keep the county from being sued is that if the county tried to restrict land use too extensively without legitimate statutory authority, it could open itself up to legal challenges that it's overstepping its bounds, and a court would most likely strike down the law. We feel it's better for the county to stay within the limits of the law or face a lawsuit from landowners saying that the county improperly legislated or exceeded their authority. That's our recommendation at this time.
Do we have any questions that the board would present at this time to Mr. Drury? Mr. Knight?
So you recommend we basically keep our nose out of some things where we don't belong?
Legally, I think you've legislated as far as you can within your ordinance, and to go any further would probably move into an area that is putting the county doing illegal things.
Mr. Nesbitt?
Who was the outside legal counsel that you used?
Mike Condon with a firm, Curtis Condon and Bersani, which specializes in providing insurance and risk management assistance to local governments.
Other comments? Other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Alexander?
did Mike give any kind of precedence, Tim, as far as any citing of Illinois cases, just out of curiosity?
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
We don't need to have those read to us.
Although I wouldn't have to read it, but say Pro Eco versus Board of County Commissioners. There's a number of cases that support the county's position at this time, and also give some guidance and some warnings to not move further.
Has that been shared with Mr. Donahue by any chance?
Yes.
We'll seek the information from him if we need that. Thanks, Tim.
Mr. Green?
Yes, you're speaking specifically towards our windmill ordinance, is that correct?
The legal issues that we were asked to address was the legal ability for the county to legislate land use. That would include windmills, wind farms, and other zoning issues.
Okay.
So, I guess it was...
Windmill ordinance being one of those issues.
Yes.
What might be other issues that we currently need to be aware of?
In terms of...
In terms of other land use issues such as the windmill issue?
The county, again, does not have a zoning ordinance.
Right.
So you're severely limited in where you can go with that.
Yes, and what are some of those other limits besides the windmill ordinance?
I think it kind of comes the other way. The state gives the county ability to enact legislation unless it's limited, and there's no provision for the county to move into further restrictions because the county doesn't have that authority. You have to become a county official.
Okay, well, thank you for the warning. If we get close to those any other unidentified areas, would you please let us know?
Yeah, I'm sure that we would be asked and provide assistance. It could be anything like height of buildings or any issues that you wanted to restrict. You at this point are very limited in doing it. Basically, you can't.
Mr. Alexander?
I hesitate to say this, but Tim, just to try and help with this, the situation with the building permit, for instance, it's really not, that's what we hung our hat on as far as the ordinance that gives us the ability to create the ordinance that we did. It's really not a land use ordinance.
Correct.
It's a building permit is what it is. So to answer Kevin's question, it's a situation where there's very few, if any, exceptions that give us any authority at all.
Correct.
And so, Kevin, that building permit was what we used to try and craft something that would give us at least some control over how these items are structured and built.
Right. We would refer you to citing things like 55 ILCS 5-5-1063, which is a state statute that gives the county the ability and the legal authority to pass the ordinances that it pass.
Thanks.
Can I ask a silly question then? If that's the case, then why were we okay setting the distance from the base of a home at 1,500 feet versus 2,000? So you're saying that it would be wrong of us then to go in and adjust that ordinance to make that a greater distance?
If I believe correctly, the county right now is using the building permit safety issue and then that's pretty much as far as you can go. You're going to have to look to the actual statute for the ability, the statutory authority for the county to do anything further other than those outlined in that statute. And it does allow the county to regulate safety issues.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Miller? Mr. Knight?
So you're saying that the county's doing a pretty good job, in other words, on other issues, or there are no other issues, in other words? So we're fine, in other words.
Yes. I would not, our recommendation is not to stray far from where you are right now in terms of the section of the zone.
I just want to know what statute you just cited. Could you give that to me again?
Yeah. It is 55 ILCS 5-5-1063.
Thank you.
And there's another ordinance, there's another statute if you want to read that, it's much longer, and that's the zoning, the rights that the state provides to the county under zoning, and that would be 55 ILCS 5-5-12020.
12020.
Anyone else? Mr. Lee?
So under that statute, it lets the county board determine what's safe for a structure?
The statute that the county is currently, someone mentioned hanging their hat on, is very brief. I think it's 2 paragraphs long. And it does not address zoning issues. So if you wanted to go further into looking at, no, sorry, not 2 paragraphs. Excuse me, mistaken, that's short. It's 2 pages as opposed to the zoning statute, which is about 25 pages long, which enumerates specific ways that counties can legislate issues. And there's actually a specific portion of that law which addresses how counties can zone. But you'd have to go down the steps of passing, becoming more effective.
Mr. Lee?
How do you determine then, it seems like it's hard to quantify what's considered safety as far as the distance of the wind power from the high? I mean, it seems very vague.
Let Mr. Donahue speak just a second. He's done a lot of research in this area, so Mr. Donahue.
When I did my research and talked to my content, the difference is, when you're talking about setback lines for building codes, these are traditional construction issues, and will the building fall down? If it falls down, will it fall on a house, will it fall on a power line? Those are very traditional building permit type issues. They're not designed to answer principally issues like, any other issues, aesthetics, whether you like them or don't like them, anything else other than that. So it's got a limited range. When you start to use setback lines effectively to bar or get rid of an item, that's when you cross the line into de facto zoning. So it is a judgment issue, and the criteria really is you want to use, I think, when you think about building permits, common sense tells you, you're setting limits that are based upon simple construction safety issues, and not overall monitoring or trying to limit someone's use or presence of an item. So it is a bit of a judgment issue, but what we want to avoid is de facto zoning, because now we're regulating someone's use or preventing someone from using the land in a way that they want to. And when you want to get into balancing now people's rights, that points you towards zoning. If that helps.
Mr. Stahl?
So would it be a safer position to take, not to have an ordinance on all and just let the people argue it out and keep the county out of the middle of it?
I think the county can't help but be in the middle of it.
But still, if we had no ordinance at all, would we be any safer or less safe than where we are today?
Well, I can't, you're saying that your people are arguing yes or no. I think if the county is forced to come up with some type of stand.
Why? The law doesn't require us to come up with a stand. So if you don't take a stand, wouldn't you be better off?
I think from the standpoint, though, of the safety issue, I think it was wise to take some type of action.
But we could let each individual worry about their own safety and sue over that.
I guess it could.
Mr. Stark?
We don't have an ordinance, we got a building permit.
That's exactly right.
All right. That makes all the difference in the world.
Any other questions? Mr. Alexander?
Could I go back to the precedent, the state precedent, that Mike apparently cited in his notes, Tim? Are they concise? Are they something that could be shared without a JD in that situation? Were they pretty concise?
Pretty concise.
Yeah. Might be wise if anybody's interested to contact the county board office if they're interested in obtaining those. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, anyone else? We need to bring this discussion to a conclusion if we can. Is there anyone else? Okay. Mr. Drury, thank you for coming and I would say shedding some light. It is a complicated issue. Basically, the position I think the county has and our insurance company has that we really don't have the opportunity to limit your property rights in any way, shape, or form. And without zoning, that's what zoning is. It's a taking of private property rights for the general well-being of the populace. And we don't have that. And that's just the way it is. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Drury. Moving on to item 12 on the agenda is the executive committee. We have a resolution concerning collection of delinquent taxes. That's in your packet before you. I would move to waive the reading of this resolution and adopt it. Is there a second? Mr. Dreer, thank you for the second. Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lee? Barron?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Lofty?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Wall? Wright?
Yes.
Alexander? Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Mrs. Foster? Yes. Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee? Mr. Lee?
You already asked me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just got it.
Yes.
All right. 23 yes, 3 yes, and 1 vacancy.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Four.
Okay.
22 yes, 4 absent, 1 vacancy.
Very good. Thank you. Motion carries. 12B is a resolution establishing the legal holidays for Vermilion County. This is in line with the rest of the state of Illinois and is established by the Illinois Supreme Court. I would move to waive the reading of this resolution and adopt the resolution as presented. It also is in your packet. Is there a second, please? Mr. Criswell, thank you for the second. Any questions, comments? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Maron?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Lofty?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
I abstain to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest.
Foster? Yes. Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, 21 yes, 4 absent, 1 abstention, and 1 vacancy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This gets more complicated, doesn't it? Motion carries. Item 12C is a resolution to declare an emergency situation that has to do with funding of the Juvenile Detention Center Integrator System. I would move to adopt the resolution, waive the reading and adopt the resolution for this emergency declaration. It is in your packet also. Do I have a second? Mr. Mayor, thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table. I'm sure there is some question or some discussion about this. Mrs. Hartshorn, who is the director of the Juvenile Detention Center, has come tonight to help answer those questions. Is there somebody that would have a question that we could just start with? Mr. Dodge, please.
What is the cost?
I'm going to ask Mrs. Hartshorn if she would come ahead and come on up here, if you don't care, and that way you probably have the greatest working knowledge of this. And I'll defer those questions to you.
Mr. Chairman, could we just have Judy explain what this is about?
Absolutely.
Because
We'll
the
take a
audience-
couple minutes to tell us what's going on.
The integrator system is our security system at the Juvenile Detention Center. It allows us to open the doors, talk to the juveniles in the rooms, control the cameras, videotape is done of the cameras, so we have documentation of what is going on. So the system is starting to fail. Half of our cameras are no longer recording. It has many features of it. For example, an interlock system that when one door is open, the other door cannot, and that is failing. As of today, one of our cameras in the visitation room is failing and shutting down. So.
Mr. Dodge asked the question, approximate cost of the thing. We have some proposals in hand.
Yes, we do.
Do you want to?
Currently, I think it was like 86,000, and that does not include the electrician work.
Mr. Stark?
Judy, do you figure this or say that this is an emergency situation?
Absolutely.
Is it for the safety of the juveniles and the staff?
Absolutely.
That's all I have, Mr.
Mr. Knight?
Did the building commission drop the ball or something on not catching this sooner, or?
There is no funding through the building commission to pay for this. This system was installed when we were under construction in 2001, and I believe the initial system was $200,000. So there is no contingency fund to pay for anything like this.
On this recording system, will this be more of a hard drive recording instead of a DVD?
Yes, yes. And currently, we're using VCR tapes. So that kind of tells you how antiquated the system is.
I know it was also discussed here in the past minutes about this being connected to the courthouse. Would this kind of be left open in a later date where this could be conformed with the courthouse without having to make a major changes and expense?
Well, actually, the courthouse system is something completely different.
System.
Yes.
Or, they refer to it in minutes.
The courthouse really doesn't have much security there in the way of recordings. There is some. The thought was that if we go ahead and update the Juvenile Detention Center, it might be a very good opportune time to use the same company to install a system that gets us into security in the courthouse, given what's going on, in the world today. But Judy's system will stand alone in the Juvenile Detention Center. The advantage of doing the courthouse at the same time would be able to take advantage of some of the same technology and equipment and companies, and there probably is some cost savings, but that's in the very beginning stages, Mr. Dodge, of being explored and what the cost would be. The intended funding, we don't have a resolution for that tonight. What we would like to do is have the county board declare this an emergency, and there is a statute that provides for that. I've got it right here if you want to read it, but If we do that as a county board, that'll bypass the committee timeframe and also the bid process. The company that is currently we're working with, this would be an upgrade to the existing system. If we don't go with this company, we will throw everything out and start over and have a complete new system. So a lot of the operating system, or at least some of it, can be upgraded, and it'll be a continuation of what we have, and that will be the least expensive way to go about doing it. Our understanding is that the company that we got a proposal from is very capable, does a lot of this type of work all over the country. I believe they're out of Indianapolis.
They were the initial.
They were the people that designed it and put it in. So what we're asking for tonight is your approval to basically make this an emergency situation. If this whole thing goes down tonight or tomorrow, the juvenile detention center basically is without eyes and ears and the ability to operate in a normal flow. She has corridors, hallways over there. The camera looks one way and you can see that direction. There's no camera to look back the other way to see the blind spot in the door that officers or people have just walked into. We're trying to upgrade that, and that's what we're asking for, is that authority under the Illinois statute to declare this an emergency so we can fast track the updating of it. Mr. Wright.
You would agree that this is more than just a bunch of video cameras strung together?
Oh my, yes. This does everything. This records every door that opens and closes in our facility. It's the heart of the juvenile detention center. It allows the person that's sitting in the control room to answer the door, see who is out there, talk to the person, allow them to come in. It allows us to open the Sally Port door for the police. It does all the functions in our facility. We open the juvenile doors with it.
A highly critical part of this.
Highly critical.
The intended funding, ladies and gentlemen, would come from the lawsuit settlement that stems back from the dispute with the city over how rebates were paid out of the public safety building fund, and that was $112,800, the county's portion of that, and our intention would be to use that money to fund the upgrade, in the juvenile detention center, and hopefully that's going to get us 5, 6, 7 years down the road. Technology is changing rapidly, and we've gotten at least double out of what's there, and it's failing. It's really not even there. Mr. Neitlinger.
Call for the vote, please.
Been a vote called for. Mr. Miller?
I wanted to ask a question before we actually moved into vote. What's our contingency plan going to be going forward to, if this is only going to last like 7 years? I'm all for voting for something that's going to, safely secure our officers and the juveniles we have there. What's our plan moving forward if this is only going to last 7 years?
Well, the initial system was constructed and placed in the building in 2001. So it's lasted much longer than 7 years. I think 7 years is kind of the lifespan for electronics and computers. But this system, you really can't function without it. And the liability is tremendous.
We've got a motion on the floor for the question to be called for. That limits debate. I appreciate your concern, Mr. Miller. Second. Mr. Griswold has offered a second. That doesn't require debate, so we'll immediately vote. So roll call vote, please, on calling for the question.
And we'll begin with Mr. Miller.
I will vote yes.
Markey?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Neitlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster?
Ms. Foster?
Mrs. Foster? Fox? Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Marin?
Yes.
And Chairman Warren?
Yes.
22 yes, 4 absent.
Thank you. Motion carries. That means the debate has been concluded. question before the board now is the resolution to declare this an emergency situation and pass it as that. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mockbee?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
No.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Marin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
21 yes, 1 no, 4 absent, and 1 vacancy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries. That concludes executive. Mr. Alexander, item 13 with finance, please.
I just have a sidebar really quick. All right. We have item 13A, ordinance establishing the number of the deputies, deputy sheriffs, and also the correction officers. I would move to waive the reading of the ordinance, Mr. Chairman, and pass this ordinance, and then I'll answer any questions.
Second. Mr. Stone has a second to the motion. Thank you. Questions, comments?
Could I just offer that there are no changes on the number that we have established? This is an annual procedure, and the sheriff is asking for the same numbers that he has had before. Thanks.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Marin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mockbee?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
22 yes, 4 absent, 1 vacancy, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries.
Item B, Mr. Chairman, is an ordinance amending the budget for law enforcement grant funds. This is $16,617 of grant monies that was recently received. I would move to waive the reading of the ordinance and pass it.
We have a motion. Is there a second, please? Mr. Stark, second. Other discussion or questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Marin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Moxby?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
22 yes, 4 absent, and 1 vacancy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Motion carries.
Item C is an EMA ordinance amending budget concerning grant monies that have been received in the amount of $21,174. You'll see that that's federal money that is through the Illinois EMA organization for the purpose that's listed there. I would move to waive the reading of this ordinance and pass it. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Stark, I'm sorry, Mr. Stone has offered a second. Any questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Marin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mockbee?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
22 yes, 4 absent, 1 vacancy,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
Madam. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries.
Item D, Mr. Chairman, is an ordinance for amendment for grant funds for the Health Department in the amount of $15,953. I would remind the Finance Committee that we did correct this amount from the meeting the other evening, we discussed this right at the end of that meeting, after it was discovered there was a little bit of an addition there. So this has been corrected by the auditor and by Nikki, and I would move to waive the reading of this ordinance and pass such, please.
Thank you, second. Mr. Wright, thank you for the second. Any discussion or questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight? Lee? Maron?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mockbee?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
21 yes, 1 no, 4 absent, and 1 vacancy, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries.
Item F, we of course have deleted item E on the agenda tonight, but item F, Mr. Chairman, I would like to yield the floor to our Tax and E Committee Chairman Dennis Miller to present a motion perhaps to postpone this particular ordinance tonight.
Yeah. I would like to move to strike 13F. I've talked to Mr. O'Shaughnessy, and the two of us feel that we should pass the actual contract before we move forward to pass the amendment to the budget.
Okay, there is a motion by Mr. Miller to delete item F tonight. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fox, second. Any further discussion or question? Roll call vote.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Walls?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Pardon me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Fox?
Yes.
Green? Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Maron?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mockbee?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
No.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes. Yes.
21 yes, 1 no, 4 absent, 1 vacancy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries.
Thank you, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, Transportation.
It's always exciting. Get the beautiful Avondale here, I get to look at Chuck. All right. What I've got for tonight is the resolution to form a business. I move to dispense with the reading and adopt the resolution.
Do I have a second? Mr. Cridwell, thank you. There is a motion and a second for a resolution concerning the bridge. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Walls? Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Maron?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mockbee?
Yes.
Nesbit?
Yes.
Nightlinger?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Chairman Weiner?
Yes.
22 yes, 4 absent, 1 vacancy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Item 15 on our agenda is executive session, and we are going to go into executive session tonight under Section C of that. So pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2, parentheses C, parentheses 2, collecting negotiating matters between a public body and its employees or their representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. I would entertain a motion for the board to go into executive session at this point. Mr. Nightlinger has moved to go into executive session. Do we have Mr. Alexander has seconded? I guess we need a roll call vote for that. No, yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Barney? I'm sorry, Criswell?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Foster? Fox?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Johnson? Mr. Johnson? Knight?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Maron?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Mockbee?
Yes.
Nesbit? Nightlinger,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Walls, Chairman Weiner,
Yes.
21 yes, 5 absent, and 1 vacancy, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries. We'll go to our executive session. If those that are on board or office holders, please vacate the room.